Hi everybody, it's Az here from Heel vs Babyface with another episode of AzChats. Just to refresh people's memory, if you don't know what AzChats is, this is a feast for your ears, not a feast for your eyes. It's kind of more podcasty than a video. So if you've got something that you need to get on with, some housework, some homework, maybe this might add as a distraction, who cares? Something like that, crank up the volume and then go off and do what you need to do. The ironing, the washing up, the scrubbing of gussets, whatever you have planned to do at home tonight. But I want to discuss today Warlords of Draenor as a whole, as a concept, as an idea, because there seems to have been a fair bit of hate going on in the forums, and I am throwing my weight here all behind Blizzard, supporting Blizzard 100%. Can't say any more than 100% because by definition you can't have more than 100%. It doesn't actually work out. But that's another debate for another time. But I am going all in, and I'm absolutely supporting Blizzard with the concept that they've come up with so far for Warlords of Draenor. Now, let me just throw in, this is an AzChat, so I can procrastinate and I can elaborate. And let me just throw my oar in. As many of you will know, I joined the World of Warcraft in March of 2007. And the character that I play today, my Warlock, was the character that I rolled. So it's always stayed with me, it's always been my love. 6.5 years, it's always been my main character. I've never forsaken it. Hey, do you like that little? Okay, never mind, we'll move on. I've never forsaken it. And when I joined, I totally fell in love with the World of Warcraft. It was something, it's like no other game I'd ever played before. I'd played online MMOs. For example, I'd played games like Final Fantasy Online 11. I'd played Phantasy Star Online. I'd done online gaming. I'd played Rainbow Six 3 on the original Xbox, not the Xbox 360, the original Xbox. Stuff like that. So I was no stranger to online gaming, but the World of Warcraft was an online RPG MMO. And I had never experienced anything the likes of this. I'd had lobby systems in the past and things like that, but a complete open world where you can explore at your leisure was just unreal. And as a massive RPG fan, RPGs are the love of my life when it comes to gaming. They're my first love, I should say. I have multiple loves. I'm very fickle, but it's my first love when it comes to a genre of gaming. So the World of Warcraft fit every criteria. It ticked every single solitary box that I could possibly desire. And I went from a complete and utter nubbler for a long time in the Burning Crusade. I got picked up by a very good raiding guild. I don't know why. Seriously, I don't know why, because I really did not know what I was doing in the game. Seriously, honestly, did not know what I was doing in the game. And I got picked up by a very good raiding guild, and they taught me things. And unfortunately, I had met a few good friends along the way as well, and they were lovely people. And they told, they explained things about my class, how to play the game in a way that we just don't see nowadays. We just get a lot of abuse being thrown around and all this kind of stuff, which is sad, but unfortunately it's becoming a bit symptomatic of online gaming, and it is such a shame. But I met a few good people, and they helped me. They helped me along the way, and I developed into a valuable member of the raiding guild. And I moved to a different server, and people moved to different servers and things, and such and so forth, and I became part of different guilds, different hardcore raiding guilds, and we had great progression. I got promoted to an officer in one, and we were on Illidan when the Sunwell patch hit. No, not when the Sunwell patch hit, when the Wrath of the Lich King pre-expansion patch hit. So we were relatively progressed. Bearing in mind, I think only 2% of raiding guilds were in Sunwell Plateau. So to be actually on Illidan before all the changing of the talents and and all that kind of jazz was a talk. I think we were third on our server, and we were, I think, 20 something in Europe. So we had decent progression. We were doing very well indeed. And I can remember watching the Wrath of the Lich King's teaser trailer and being absolutely overwhelmed by what I saw. I was just... this is the first. This would be like the first expansion I would experience, the first transition of expansions that I would experience. I, of course, hadn't experienced the transition from Vanilla to the Burning Crusade because I joined just as the Burning Crusade hit. I think Burning Crusade hit in January. I joined in March, so the Burning Crusade was a couple of months old when I joined, and I just read some exceptional reviews and decided it was time to throw my life away by playing WoW. I'd ticked all the boxes. I'd had sex. I'd had a job. I'd had money. I'd had a life. I've been abroad. I can throw all those away now and start to play WoW. And so when I watched the teaser trailer for Wrath of the Lich King, I was just overwhelmed by what I saw, because of course we had plenty of lore on the Lich King within the game already, especially from my angle, because I was a Forsaken Warlock at the time. That was my race, and we had a few quests, a lot of quests early on in the game near Lordaeron that would refer to the Lich King and what had happened and such. And I could not wait. And I remember at the time when Wrath of the Lich King came out, I wasn't a particularly rich person at all. So I really had to count the pennies when it came to purchasing video games. But it was one of those video games that you just absolutely 100% made sure you had the funds for. And I never pre-ordered it. That's one thing I do remember. I know, sorry, I'm going off a tangent here. But I do remember I never pre-ordered it. And I actually got the price wrong because I looked online at I think it was Game Website or something, and they said it was like £20. So I turned up with £20, and it actually turned out to £25 in store. Is £20 online. So I was like, oh my god! It's had to run back home, rummage up another £5 and come back. Sad days. And I absolutely adored Wrath of the Lich King. Burning Crusade has that place in my heart because it's the first one of the World of Warcraft X-Packs that I actually played. But Wrath of the Lich King was just... the development, the progress, and all that kind of stuff, to me was just like, oh man, absolutely out of this world. I thought there's some great questing, some great storylines, the whole theme. And theme is going to play a very particular part in my argument today. The theme was just superb. The Scourge, the way that the Alliance attack had initially failed, and all this kind of stuff. And the zones were very well done. Indeed, the mobs were very well done. The dungeons were great. The raids were great. Everything about Wrath of the Lich King kind of ticked all the boxes. It was phenomenal. And then Wrath of the Lich King moved into Cataclysm. And again, I remember watching the reveal video. I remember watching BlizzCon. I think actually I was hooked onto MMO Champ because I didn't have a virtual ticket and I didn't go to BlizzCon. And I think I was just absolutely rooted to MMO Champ. Refreshing. As I knew it was the time that the reveal was going to be announced. And I was waiting for that reveal video to get popped up on the website. And lo and behold, it did. And I remember seeing this video about Azeroth getting torn asunder, being able to fly on Azeroth, new zones, and all this kind of stuff. And Deathwing just looked like, oh, even though there wasn't any actual physical pixels on Deathwing, they only had a concept art of him, even on the reveal video. Just the whole idea was just like, wow, this looks incredible. This looks absolutely amazing. And then my furore, my fever pitch, was only enhanced when I started to watch Total Biscuit's videos on Cataclysm, which got featured on MMO Champ as well. And he did some great stuff, and I was rooted to what he was doing. I'd watch as he'd take us through each zones, so we'd see how the zones had changed and the dungeons and da-da-da. And it only helped to pique my interest in the next X pack and of course, get me really excited. So this time, I was working in a good job this time, not just scraping by in a job that you exist, you don't live, you only exist, which is sad. It's sad that people, we have to have lives like that sometimes. And I bought the collector's edition, and I remember being there at midnight, logging on to Cataclysm. Of course, we had the pre-expansion changes to the world and all that kind of stuff. And I think it took like an hour and a half to be able to log on, because they logged you off at midnight, and then you had to try and reconnect. And of course, the login servers were just getting battered. More battered than somebody in a Amsterdam red light district backstreet. They were getting battered. And it took me roughly around an hour and a half to be able to connect. The sad thing was, with World of Warcraft Cataclysm, is the expansion didn't quite live up to its hype, which was a shame. Some people say it's the worst expansion. I don't believe so. We'll get on to Mists in a moment. But I got myself to level 85 and realised very quickly there was not a lot to do at maximum level. They made a big boob there. Yes, they'd spent a lot of time and a lot of effort revamping the world, revamping the quests, revamping the items, and kudos to them for that. Because if you have leveled up a character in, post-Cataclysm leveling, it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. You will not be disappointed. It's not a chore. Well, I don't think it's a chore. I think it's a joy, an utter joy. And it wasn't too long that I drifted away from WoW, because there was just nothing for me to do. There genuinely was nothing for me to do. I didn't have any problem with the difficulty of dungeon. I liked that the dungeons were really hard to start with, and that you did have to cooperate and communicate, and all those C words which are frowned upon, sadly, nowadays. I know it caused division within the community. People were like, it's too hard! And then they would, of course, turn into mush. Those dungeons would just turn into putty, and you could steamroller them in with no problem at all. And to me, there's a reason why stuff is called heroic. It's meant to be hard. And, it made me feel like an old man, because I started to harken back to the day, harken back to the days of Shattered Halls and stuff like that, which were just crazy difficult dungeons, and I loved it for it. Absolutely loved the game for that. But, again, I digress. So, although Cataclysm to me showed promise, it didn't live up to the hype. I drifted away from WoW, and I returned to WoW in the Deathwing patch. I can't remember what number the patch was, whether it's 4.4 or whatever it may be, 4.3, 4.1, whatever. But I returned in the Dragon Soul patch. My friends managed to taunt me back into raiding. So I actually joined my real-life friends in their guild, and did some Dragon Soul raiding, and I wasn't particularly impressed with Dragon Soul. I think Dragon Soul is the worst raid that Blizz have done, and I don't mean in that nasty way. I just don't think it quite worked. It's good that they try different things, but to me, it didn't quite work. And so I was really, really enthusiastic about the next expansion coming. Sometimes things just get stale, and you need that shake-up. You need that difference maker that comes around. And so, we move on to the Mists of Pandaria. And I remember this vividly. It's really sad. I think this is something which could potentially stay with me for the rest of my life, and if it does, then I totally hold my hands up and I say, yeah, I'm just a sad man. But I can remember watching the reveal trailer for Mists of Pandaria. And all the reveal trailers are approximately 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes 45. But between 2.5 minutes to 3 minutes long, these reveal trailers. And I start as there with bated breath, waiting to watch this launch trailer for the next game. We didn't know the title, of course. Well, I'd steered clear of forums. I wasn't interested in speculation. And lo and behold, it starts. And the teaser trailer continues, and it continues. And 30 seconds go by, and nothing. And then 45 seconds goes by, and the trailer is still talking about past content. And then a minute goes by, past content, and it's about 1 minute 15 seconds or something like that into the reveal trailer for Mists of Pandaria that we actually see where we're going. We actually see Pandaria. We see a few screenshots, or not screenshots. We see a few bit of video footage of Pandaria. I think it's the Jade Forest. I think we see the Jade Temple and stuff like that. And then we get the locations, and then suddenly it says something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, and a race that could potentially change the face of Azeroth. And then a fucking Kung Fu Panda lands in. Excuse my French. And I was just like, what? It was seriously, my face just dropped. I was just like, are you taking a piss? Are you seriously taking a piss? Now, there's some of you, I know there's going to be some lawmongers out there that are going to go, because they're like, yes, but Pandarians were in Warcraft 3. Yeah, but Pandarians did start off their life as an April Fool joke in the World of Warcraft. And it wasn't the fact of how they started off for me. It was the fact that this just looked like a piss take of Kung Fu Panda. That's what it felt like. It was just like, oh look, it's an Oriental setting. It's pandas, derp. The new class was Monk, which was just basically Kung Fu. By the way they do it, because they're going around, wah, wah, and all that kind of stereotypical accepted racism phrases that they do. And I was just sort of sat there like, oh, sweet Jesus. Oh, my sweet Jesus. I was just like, no, this can't be right. This has got to be, I looked at the calendar, this has got to be April. It can't be November, it's got to be April. Or October, whenever it was. And I was mortified. Absolutely mortified. And then I thought, well, I tell you what, because I am actually quite a fair guy, believe it or not. I thought, right, okay, look, I'll reserve judgment for the beta. I'll watch some beta videos, and I'll see what people say. And I can remember tuning into Total Biscuit's channel when the beta started, and nothing there at all. No videos, no nothing. And apparently I read that he was done with WoW. He was done with WoW and won't be doing any videos. So I was like, okay. So I tried to find another channel that did World of Warcraft footage that I enjoyed. And I couldn't find anyone that I was just like, wow, yeah, these guys are brilliant. Like I was with TB, because I thought he was excellent. And it was just, in actual fact, I saw a lot of dreadful stuff. Absolutely dreadful stuff. And I was just like, oh dear God. But then Blizzard, of course, were offering that if you bought the annual pass, then you'd get, part of the annual pass would be guaranteed access to the Mists of Pandaria beta. And I had purchased the annual pass, not for that, but for, just because I like to support Blizzard, because I do like the World of Warcraft. I think we got a mount. I think we got Diablo 3. So it was things like that I purchased the annual pass for. But I thought, well, I'm going to get a beta invite, because I had no intention of doing betas, and I kind of stayed clear of them the vast majority of the time, not to ruin my enjoyment, but I made the exception with Cataclysm. I prefer to watch it as opposed to play it. And lo and behold, a few weeks later, the beta key drops. So I'm like, right, if I can't watch footage, which I enjoy, maybe I should start to create some. And I created the Heel vs. Babyface channel. So that's it. It's got a nice little storyline there. Sorry if half of you are asleep by now. But it's got a nice little storyline with that involved. Now, I started doing my beta videos. And look, I call a spade a spade. That's just me. That's my personality. That's my makeup. I'm not a doom-monger, and I'm not an ass-kisser. I'm neither. If I believe something is good, I will give it praise. If I believe something is bad, then I will take it apart, and I'll take it apart with legitimacy. I won't just say, well, that's crap, end of story. I will explain why I think it's crap. So I'll tell you why stuff's bad, why I believe stuff's bad, and things like that. And just kind of going off at tangent to explain this, another way to explain this is to my friends, I have been defending Elder Scrolls Online to the hilt. Because my friends were just rubbishing it before we'd seen any footage, anything from Elder Scrolls Online. And I was just saying to them, look, stop it. Reserve judgment when you see footage. If footage comes out and the footage is crap, then say it's crap. But don't make a predetermined, thought. Don't make a predetermined decision about what you think of the game. Let it have its chance. Let it have its day. And I defended it. And then the QuakeCon footage came out, and I was like, oh, sweet Jesus, this looks terrible. And the reason why it looked even more terrible is because we had the fantastic presentation of EverQuest Next by David Georgeson, who was really infectious. Came across as a really nice guy. And he had such enthusiasm about this product they're releasing. And then you had the Elder Scrolls Online one, where the guy who was doing the presentation, I'm sorry, your name eludes me at this present moment in time, just didn't seem to be into it. He wasn't enthusiastic. It didn't seem as if he believed in the product. We had some really kind of bad footage that was given out. It was like dark and dingy. You couldn't really see what was going on. Then we had a little bit of a look at the character creation screen, and it looked like it was on a PlayStation 2. It just looked dreadful to me. Just looked absolutely dreadful. But again, I'm sort of like, okay, that's the initial impression. There's a long way to go on the game before it's in a state to be released. They're only in a closed beta process at the moment, and it's not due out till autumn, or the fall if you're American, of next year. So there's plenty of time for them to do lots and lots of tweaks. And when I actually get to play it, maybe that'll change my mind. So, but from what I've seen initially, it's sort of like, ugh. But yeah, I will defend something. If something is good, then I will absolutely get behind it. If I believe something is bad, then I will say why. I think there's been an absolute load. A lot of people think I just hate on Pandaria because I'm just being a prick. But it's not. I'm not. And I maintain this on my streams, and I've maintained this a lot of the time. I love the World of Warcraft. I think Mists of Pandaria is garbage. There's a massive difference between the two. If you watch my streams and you watch me do older content, old school raiding, things like that, the way that I reminisce, the way that I talk about stuff, the raids, the dungeons, the people, the guilds, all that kind of jazz, which I'll elaborate and go into in my streams, because I stream for 2-3 hours a night. It's all through love. People can tell the love and enthusiasm and the joy that I have for the game. I just seriously think that Blizzard dropped the ball with Mists of Pandaria. I thought the content was drab. I thought the leveling was absolutely pathetic. Scenarios are an absolute waste of time. We have all this kind of content which just seem to separate the community as opposed to unite the community. You no longer have to have a tank or a healer. Well, do you know what? We've hardly got any in the game anymore. If they're a crucial part of the World of Warcraft, then we're going to have to we're going to have to find ways to bring them back in. But you don't need a tank or a healer scenarios. Well, do you know what? That's probably made a lot of people drift away from that for a start. You can do Looking for Aid, where you go in a group of 25 people and pretty much only about 7 of you have to perform for you to be able to kill the bosses. I know SOO is slightly more difficult than previous LFRs, but we're not talking about a lot, and it's probably going to get nerfed down to the ground because it has been over the course of the last few weeks. But yeah, I will take something apart if I believe it deserves to be, and I thought Mists of Pandaria absolutely deserves to be. The content was weak. The grind was awful. The way that they hid Valor gear behind faction vendors and then tried to convince us that we didn't have to do daily quests to get Valor to purchase stuff, but we did. Because even if you got your Valor points through grinding dungeons, you couldn't purchase the gear. because they were hid behind the faction vendors, and therefore if you didn't do the dailies, you didn't get the rep, you didn't progress with the factions, you couldn't purchase the gear. So they made a massive boob with that. Heroic dungeons, of course, were an absolute joke. And we've seen recently me go around soloing every single solitary one of them now in their current format. But they were a joke from day one, and they're still a joke now. And there's lots and lots and lots to dislike about Mr. Pandaria. And I think, sadly, only a few redeeming features. I thought the tillers was really good, and we'll get onto the tillers in a little bit when we talk about garrisons. And I thought Timeless Isle was a step in the right direction, but obviously this was a step which was forced upon Blizzard as they started to hemorrhage, I mean absolutely hemorrhage, subscribers. And it was during the beta testing for Mr. Pandaria, before it had even been launched, that I made a prediction which some people thought was lunacy. I got some almighty hate from some quarters, as they thought was absolute lunacy. And I think it was during a Shadowpan Monastery video, Shadowpan Monastery Heroic, I believe it was, potentially, may not be. And I said that, these dungeons are just terrible. The Heroic dungeons are absolutely garbage. And I thought, dungeons are kind of like the soul of the World of Warcraft. There'd been loads of dungeons throughout the course of the life. They'd got less and less as the expansions got on. But they were kind of like the soul. It's what we used to gear up to progress into raiding. That was the stepping stone. And now they've just stepped on its head and drowned dungeons. And LFR became the stepping stone into raiding. And LFR, just the worst thing in the world ever. And I made this prediction. And I said, this is when World of Warcraft is thriving. Even Cataclysm has reduced the numbers down from approximately 11 point whatever it was at the end of Wrath to 9.1. So it lost about 2 mil over the course of its life. So it lost about 18%, something like that, of its customer base over the course of Cataclysm. So not colossal amount, still holding on to a really good number of subscribers. If you're leaving an expansion with 9.1 million subscribers, my god, then you're doing well. You're doing really well. But I made this prediction as Mr. Pandaria brought nearly 1 million back and it rose back up to 10 mil. I said, I see this 10 million going down to about 6. So that's a 40% drop-off that I called. I called a 40% drop-off in subscribers due to what I had played in Mr. Pandaria, due to how I thought it was going to pan out, because I thought the content was diabolical. And lo and behold, although I got torn up, some people were just could not believe I would even consider something like that. Here we are, after the first year of the Mr. Pandarian's life, and they've already lost 2.4 million, sorry. And they've seriously had to change the content. And to be perfectly honest with you, I think there's been some major changes. And I think Mr. Pandaria's life has been hacked apart. I think they had plans for different types of content coming in. And I think the vast majority of it has just absolutely been shelved. Absolutely been shelved. And I think when they lost the huge chunk of subscribers, the 1.3 million subscribers, I think the content that they were working on for Mists was put to one side, and they had an almighty brainstorm. They never said anything, they never say anything, they'll never confirm this, but I reckon they had an almighty brainstorm about how can we change this, how can we go into damage limitation mode. And that's exactly what I think happened. I think there was like a war council at Blizz, and I think they went into damage limitation zone. What can we do to try and stem? What can we do to try and hold on to the people that we've got? Try and limit the departures as best as possible. And then suddenly we come up with the Timeless Isle. I think they said, right, 5.2 and, Alan Thunder King had some good stuff, and let's try and work on that. And I think that's how Timeless Isle came around. They may deny that. I could be wrong, I could be right. But I think that happened. I genuinely think something along those lines happened within the life of Mr. Pandaria. I think there was a crisis meeting and things were discussed to limit, to go into a damage limitation mode. And so, after nearly half an hour of AzChatting, we move now to Warlords of Draenor. So this, to me, was the... I know this sounds a little bit dramatic considering it's only a video game, but I've been playing WoW for 6.5 years. Some people have been playing for longer, some people have been playing for less, but it probably doesn't stop people from loving the game just as much as I do, or the next person does, or Bob does, or Rachel does, or Carl does, or Siobhan, just because I wanted to say the name Siobhan, does as well. But to me, this was the biggest reveal video of my WoW life, because to me it was going to make my mind up whether or not I continue to play the World of Warcraft. If they revealed something akin to Mists of Pandaria, that would have been it. That would have been it for me. It genuinely would have done. I know a lot of people say, look, but WoW's your bread and butter on your YouTube channel. That's what you do. You can't leave WoW. Well, you know, I like to diversify. I spend a lot of time on Twitch. I have a great following on Twitch. Nearly 3,000 people on my streaming channel. Where I kind of shake things up there. I diversify. I do different games on there. I've recently been getting into the Batman Arkham Origins. And yes, you will get some very soon. Once I manage to commandeer the Xbox back, I'll promise I'll try and do that over the weekend. And we'll start getting right back onto that. Because that's started. That's something fresh and new. And people have been getting into that as well. So I would simply look to you know, see where the other avenues are. The beta for EverQuest Landmark is around the corner, February of next year. Absolutely going to be participating in that. So although World of Warcraft has been my bread and butter on the channel, and I know some people would follow me on the journey wherever I would go, I would have to make some brave decisions myself. So if I was to leave WoW, yes, I would most likely see a big drop-off on people that are wanting to watch only my WoW content, but I would rebuild again, and maybe the diversification that I'll be able to do would bring in an even bigger, better, you know, bigger, better, larger, whatever, faster, stronger, I'm just trying to quote Daft Punk, audience. You never know. You never know. So to me, it was the biggest reveal video that they could do, because it would make my mind up one way or another. And I think a lot of people were also quite interested to see how I would go, because as you know, my World of Warcraft account is on cancel. I've got about a month left before it runs out, approximately a month left before it runs out. But I couldn't justify paying a subscription fee for missed content. Now, I purchased the virtual ticket for BlizzCon. I went on to live stream to stream my thoughts and feelings and relate the information as it came through, because you couldn't stream BlizzCon. That was against TOS. So I went onto my Twitch channel, my live stream channel, to release the details. What the X-Pack was going to be. Was it going to be Warlords of Draenor? We all knew that Warlords of Draenor had been trademarked a week before BlizzCon, so it was highly likely that was going to be the name for the X-Packs. Where would it take us? Derp. Draenor, by any chance? What relationship did Draenor have to it? Bearing in mind that we've already been on a fragment of what used to be Draenor with Outland, as it was torn apart by the opening of all the portals. And it was intriguing to see whether or not the Burning Legion would come back and all that kind of stuff. And we're thinking, is the Burning Legion coming back simply to boost numbers, or is there some legitimacy to the next X-Pack? So there were some interesting questions. And I got an audience, my biggest ever audience on Twitch, of 1,450 odd people that night. It was crazy. And I only had like 2 moderators, but everyone was just brilliant, so well behaved. They were just there for the information. They were just there to find out about the next X-Pack, where it was going, and it was best night of my YouTube life / online career, because it was just an amazing experience for me to share it with you, and I hammed it up and all that kind of stuff that I do. If you follow my streams, you'll know what I'm talking about. And then we get Warlords of Draenor officially announced. And contrary to popular belief, it's not time travel. Garrosh goes back in time. Not us, Garrosh does. Garrosh goes back in time and to Draenor before it was destroyed, prevents the orcs from drinking the blood of Manaroth, which turned them into bloodlust, bloodlust orcs that we know and love today. And united the clans, united the warlords, surprisingly enough, on Draenor. Surprisingly enough, he united the Warlords of Draenor to form the Iron Horde. So when we eventually go through the Dark Portal again, which will turn red, as opposed to being green now, which will turn red, we will be going not back in time, we'll be going to current time. But because of the events of what Garrosh did, going back into time and uniting this, he's created a separate timeline. So the Outland still exists. Outland still exists in another timeline, and this Draenor, which was not destroyed, exists in another timeline. So it's an existing format. There's no time travel involved. There's only one person that went back in time, Garrosh. That was it. And that's the premise. And so we've got massive fan favourite orcs that we've never had the opportunity to interact with. We've got Grommash, Garrosh's father. We've got Durotan, Thrall's father. We've got Kilrog, Blackhand, Gul'dan. Oh my giddy aunt, Gul'dan, who is just like the ultimate warlock. I play a warlock, of course, so to me, Gul'dan is just like, oh, the daddy when it comes to warlocks. And it sounded to me very exciting indeed. Then came the further information. This is what would obviously flesh out whether or not. And they didn't flash that there would be scenarios, but there would be scenarios. They flashed that, dungeons, they'd be releasing 7 dungeons, including a heroic upgraded version of Upper Blackrock Spire, which sounds fantastic to me. There's also speculation Karazhan is getting the level 100 because they were, again, souped up by 10 levels this time. I'll discuss that in a little bit. Souped up to 10 levels. But there's also speculation that Karazhan might be getting a facelift. The level 70 10-person raid might be getting a facelift. And he could be getting a facelift into a heroic dungeon, believe it or not. It could be getting a facelift into another raid. My money is on a facelift to a 5-person heroic dungeon. Then the big thing, which I just said, the levelling up is no longer 5 levels. They want levelling up to mean something again, because they don't believe that levelling up has meant something. And I'm not trying to hate on Dave Cossack here, but I think the levelling up process in Miss was just dreadful. I'm not nothing against the guy. I just thought it was absolutely diabolical. The quest, there was no diversity in quest. It was just virtually 90% of it was just kill and collect. I didn't reckon too much to the storylines, particularly. There was the odd good one here or there, and that was it. It felt, even though it's just 5 levels, like the most horrible grind. Absolutely hideous, horrible grind. And I thought there were certain situations that we're in where brilliant events could have happened with a little bit of imagination, and sadly I feel very little imagination was used in the construction of the levelling up process. Therefore, the fact that they're actually moving levelling back up to 100, the questing up to from 10 levels to from 90 to 100, kind of gives a bit of gravitas to the fact that they want to make levelling part of the process again. They want it to mean something. I personally loved in Wrath of the Lich King going up 10 levels. We did it also in the Burning Crusade, but particularly in Wrath of the Lich King when Blizz were getting a little bit more savvy with how to do content, and I absolutely adored the fact that the Lich King would turn up here and there during our questing process. The Lich King would turn up here and there, and just to me reaffirm the fact that this guy was beyond redemption, beyond saving. He'd just gone. There was so little Arthas there, and rather a lot of Lich King instead. But just with that little tweak of Arthas here or there. And then of course we had the Culling of Stratholme, which only added to that. which is, all gravy, all gravy. I think Culling of Strathern may have come in Cataclysm, whatever. But, I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the fact that we felt connected to Arthas. Then we had the amazing Wrathgate event when you were levelling up 2, which was, I thought, a very brave decision. You had this massive, massive event while levelling. So it wasn't as if you got to level 70? 80? 80. It's not as if you got to level 80 with Wrath of the Lich King. Then you did the Wrathgate event. It was actually part of the levelling up process. So that was really, really cool. Indeed. And I believe that they can do that again here. They said we were worried that we saturated it too much. No, you didn't, Blizz. No, you did not at all. You did not saturate it too much. It was very, very well done. So if we're going up 10 levels and they're now changing the way the questing system works, they're trying to make questing a little bit more dynamic. By the sounds of it, they're trying to add events a la Timeless Isle, like the Timeless Isle, events during the levelling up process that you need other people for. I don't think you have to party with them. It kind of works like the Timeless Isle, that you all just kind of like chip in. You all chip in to help to fight. You know how you summon Archie all the time on the Timeless Isle, and then somebody goes, Archie's up! And then everyone just goes whoosh and runs to the area, and you all take down Archie. I think it's kind of going to be similar to that, where you'll turn up and you'll passively help each other out, and you'll all get credit for the event ending, and then you'll get, experience, possibly loot, however that works. But they're bringing in a more dynamic questing system, which to me, even just by saying that before I've even managed to test it, sounds like a good idea. It sounds like progression to me. It sounds like they're wanting to make things better. It looks like they're attempting to say, right, how can we make the leveling experience better? Because let's face it, it was pretty dour in the last couple of X-Packs. Not massively so in Kata. I still thought that was relatively good for levelling. Relatively fun, at least, for levelling. But Mists, oh, jeez, no. Then we, of course, got garrisons. And I go back to the Tillers here. We had the Tillers farm in Mists of Pandaria. I think that was one of the successes of Mists of Pandaria. For the time that I did the Tillers and for the time that I did actually bother with the farm, I don't any longer hunt for a long time. But, something like that can only have a finite life because it's just a farm and you're just planting vegetables and getting grabbed by tentacle monsters, putting their tentacles in places while trying to kill them. But for the time, for a couple of months or so at least, it was really good fun. I like the phasing. I like the progression involved in that. I like that you could still see the outside world and still see people, but your area was phased to you. So if anyone got too close, of course, they would vanish. It was a little bit gutting that people couldn't see your farm, but all farms were the same. It was a very small patch of land that it wasn't a big deal. But then we got garrisons. So we're not even just getting a house for people to see. We're getting a goddamn garrison, which is going to be phased, but people can see it. You can invite people to come along, be up to 40 odd people to see it. You can put 10 odd buildings in it. You can put them where you want to put them in it. It opens up areas, it opens up mines, it opens up lumber mills, it opens up a farm. So you can still do your tillery shit. Opens up a farm, a mine, a lumber mill, stuff like that. You recruit NPC followers. You can send them out to do just generic quests, to do scenarios. But please, just don't leave them alone. Leave scenarios alone. Dump them. Dungeons and even raids, and you level them up. You level these guys up, and you can have potential access to professions as well that you don't possess. That to me sounds exciting. Very, very exciting indeed as a proposed piece of content. Is it going to be something that you can just, boom, do immediately? No, not by the looks of it. Because things take time. You want to send your followers off on a raid, takes 4 to 7 days. You want to upgrade a building, costs 10,000 gold. That we've seen for one building. Could be more for some, could be less for others. But from what we're seeing, upgrading, so you're going to have a proportionate amount of gold, and your followers, of course, could provide you with that. Coming back from a raid, they could come back with a decent haul of gold. You never know, do you? Things of that kind of ilk. When more information becomes available, obviously we'll find out. But just the concept in itself sounds really, really exciting to me. Absolutely thrilling. And yet you've got people hating on it already. Now, again, the reason why I say that is because I believe criticism where criticism is due and praise where praise is due. And I think that idea is worthy of praise, not criticism. Not criticism at all. We're not talking about a goddamn Jack Black Kung Fu Panda rip-off joke, which somehow managed to get turned into an expansion. And whoever thought of that, please, do sack them. But then rehire them, because I don't want anyone to lose their job. Just sack them and go, you rehired. Something like that, because I never want to take the livelihood away from somebody, ever. But yeah, or just take them into the back room, spank them. Unless they're female, you'll get a lawsuit. So praise where praise is due, and I think the idea for garrisons is a fantastic idea. If you've been watching my YouTube channel over the course last 3 days, I've been going through the level 100 talents. There seems to be some great ideas thrown in there for every class. There's not really a class that I've gone through on the level 100 talents where I've thought, yeah. And as a warlock, that's a big thing, because my level 90 talents were, to start off with, were pretty meh. Then we got Killjane's Cunning in 5.2 change or 5.1 changes, which was like, yay! And then they got rid of that. So I know about meh talents. Trust me. I know plenty about meh talents. So all these level 100 talents, there seems to at least be one talent on there that should appeal to all classes. Shaman, there's got to be at least one there from what I've read that you're going to go, oh, I really like the idea of that. Oh, I like the idea of that. Warlocks, there's a couple there. In actual fact, I'm pretty happy with the job lot at level 100 so far. Priests, you got some great stuff. Mages! Meteor sounds amazing. It sounds like Final Fantasy stuff. But it sounds amazing. Death Knights, Defile, Necrotic Plague. Ooh, Lich King abilities from the Lich King fight. Amazing! Warriors! Oh man! So even the 100 talents seem to have been thought out a little bit more and made a little bit more dynamic and exciting. Again, praise where praise is due. These are something that we get very rarely, every 15 levels, and then this one after 10. So this is a talent that you get very rarely throughout the course of your game. They should be exciting. They should be dynamic. And so far, I know they're subject to change. Of course they're subject to change. But so far, they're looking brilliant. They are looking really, really good indeed. Then, let's focus on Draenor for a moment. Please, Draenor is not Outland. It's not an Outland reskin. It's a world created from scratch. But it's set on Draenor, and Outland is a fragment of Draenor. So, yes, of course it's going to hold some of the characteristics. That's the whole point. It's a mirror. It's a mirror, but one side is 6, 7 years old, 8 years old, and one is fresh and new and built from the ground up. So Shadow Moon Valley still exists, still has the same shape. Is it a reskin? No, because there are vast changes to it. Hellfire Peninsula is now Tannan Forest. Hellfire Peninsula is a wasteland due to the war, due to the explosion of the world, all this kind of stuff. It's a lush forest when it comes to Warlords of Draenor. Vastly different. We've seen a brief look at it. Vastly different. Zangarmarsh doesn't exist because of where we are. And Taroka Forest has changed because of where we are. Nagrand exists, but again, exists differently than before. Blade Edge Mountains doesn't exist anymore. We have the Frost area as well. We've got all these fantastic zones, and they are fantastic looking zones as well, from what we've seen, and it just, to me, makes me excited for going to this new place. And Blizz did put Outland and Draenor side by side on the reveal. And Draenor, I will tell you now, is significantly bigger than Outland. It is not a reskin at all. We've then got 2 large continents in the water. Neither of them have been named, and it absolutely looks like they're going to be utilised for future patches. One, probably a little bit bigger than Timeless Isle. Probably a lot bigger, actually, than Timeless Isle. One of them, bloody huge. One of them, almost the same size as Shadow Moon Valley. So that, to me, says, my goodness, there could be some amazing content patches coming out for Warlords of Draenor. We then, of course, have the PvP island as well, which has been described as a sandbox area because it's always in flux, and it's going to be across realm. So not one realm is going to be able to dominate. I'm on Silvermoon. Silvermoon is dominant alliance. Absolutely out and out dominant alliance. But I can't turn up on that PvP isle off the coast of Tanan Jungle and steamroller it with the rest of my Silvermoon allies, because it's going to be balanced. And I've also harkened this place back to Alterac Valley. There's just going to be a lot more to do than simple PvP engagement. There's going to be questing to do. There's going to be events to do. Things like that. And they've again harkened it to kind of like Alterac Valley of old. So again, it sounds like exciting ideas for PvP. Instead of just generic fighting, you take that base, you take that base. And then you fight in the middle, and then one side wins. They're looking at changing that. They're looking at bringing in different ideas on how to make it fun and interesting. So once more, praise where praise is due. The idea is sound. The concept is sound. Not weak, not poor. It's making the right noises. You want to hate on that? Doesn't, to me, make any logical sense whatsoever. I can't wait to go to Frostfire Ridge, the snow zone on Draenor. I can't wait to go to Gorgrond, this area where it looked like Blade Edge Mountains would become potentially, but it's kind of like 1,000 Needles meets Durotar and all this kind of stuff. You know, spires are around, seeing places which haven't been destroyed. The Black Temple is still the temple for the Draenor, for the Draenei. Shatrath will exist. Shatrath will be there. Then we have Ockendal will be there, full, not destroyed like it is in Taroka Forest. So there's going to be some fantastic places, existing places that we're going to see a fresh, new, built from scratch with dungeons in them. To me, again, exciting prospects. So already, just from those few little things are already, to me, sounding absolutely Blizzard heading in the right direction. Realising that things need to change and need to change for the better, and 100% focusing on doing that. They're also making a brave decision to make the numbers crunch. People question me about that. It is the best thing to do. The lower the numbers, the better and the easier it will be to balance the game. If you've got control over the numbers, you can have more control over the balance. That is just simple fact. And I would love to see a lot more balance returning to the World of Warcraft. A lot more balance returning there. They've streamlined the raiding. And again, yes, this is the only thing to me that could legitimately cause a little bit of division within the community. Because they've reduced heroic raiding from 10 or 25 to a set number of 20. But they've given plenty of notice for that. So I understand that is an element of discussion. And that is an element that could cause issues, especially if you're in a 10 and you've got to find 10 more people. Or if you're in a 25 heroic raiding guild and you've suddenly got to let 5 of them go. Or you've got to disappoint 5 because you've got to alternate people. So there are some tough decisions there. And I think, yes, that is a bone of contention. And that is an area that could lead to multiple discussions. But still, they're trying to streamline the raiding. They're trying to make more people get into raiding. I mean, yes, I really, really wish they'd get rid of Raid Finder, but it's never going to happen. Sadly, sad but true. But they have done better things. The flexible raiding has been such a success, that's now going to become the norm when it comes to raiding. You know, you've got 12 people, you can raid normally with 12 people, as opposed to 10 and sidelining 2. And making that the norm as opposed to the exception is great. Is absolutely great. So just those few little things that I've gone through so far, and we don't even know what else is there to come. There could be some fantastic ideas around the corner, and concepts and plans which have yet to be implemented. There is lots and lots to be excited about with Warlords of Draenor, and to me, I don't see anything to be negative about. I'm throwing my weight behind this expansion. I'm throwing my weight behind my support of Blizzard for this, because I think all the right noises are being made. Doesn't necessarily mean they will translate into perfect content, but that's the whole process of testing. But the ideas are sound. I don't think they were sound in the last X-Pack. The content is sound. I don't think the content was sound in the last X-Pack. The way that it's set, the people that they're bringing in, the fan favourites that they're doing to rally us, to boost our spirits, very clever. But at the same time, I want to tackle Gul'dan. He's my hero. He's my warlock god. But when it comes into battle, yeah, I want to show Gul'dan I'm the daddy lock, not him. Me. You got those wonderful little vanity moments which can appeal to your own class. Is Grommash the best warrior, or are you the best warrior? You tell me. You tell me which one that you'd like. So please, think about what you're saying when you want to jump onto a hate wagon. Are you just joining in to be part of the masses, or do you have legitimate concerns? Because I can't see, apart from the raiding aspect, which is divisive, I can't see any legitimate concerns with what they've said so far about Warlords of Draenor. To me, it's exciting. It looks fun. It's making all the right noises. I cannot wait to get my hands on a beta testing key. I cannot wait to get involved in the testing process for this. I can't wait to produce videos. I can't wait to be enthusiastic. I can't wait to do that video where I say, people, you're not going to be disappointed. And I can say that right now because I believe there is enough information given to us at BlizzCon that Blizzard are absolutely dead set on making this expansion nothing short of an unmitigated success. And I don't think Mist brought that to us. And I think they want to make it up to us. And I think they want to rebuild our confidence in their product. Because I think the World of Warcraft is going to stay with us for many, many more years to come. Project Titan, it may appear. It may never appear, but this is Blizzard's bread and butter. This is the spearhead of their company, and I tell you what, I think they're doing everything in their power to make it the daddy once more. They may be able to compete with things like the Elder Scrolls Online. I think they will cast games like that to one side, but they might not be able to compete with next generation of consoles. Tom Clancy's The Division, Destiny, those are the games which I believe they're going to come up against their stiffest competition. But you just imagine, if they hold their own against those types of games, then my God, it must mean they are doing something exceptional with the World of Warcraft franchise. So there we go. A very long AzChats today. Paraphrase it all up as, please, if the noises are all sounding good, don't jump on the hate wagon. Make your own mind up. Be strong enough in yourself to say, Well, I don't think that sounds half bad, to be perfectly honest with you. And that's exactly where I'm coming from. I'm not a sheep. I'm a leader. I lead myself. And I lead myself to honesty. And my honest opinion from what I saw at BlizzCon is Warlords of Draenor so far sounds fantastic. There we go. Well, I hope you enjoyed the vid. Please do like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook and twitch.tv/Heel vs Babyface for live streaming. I, as ever, shall be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care, everybody. Night night.